We're going to answer two questions today. Can I ever beat Greg at Star Wars Unlimited? And is there anything to the conspiracy theory that some legendaries are grouped together and batched in boxes? We're going to find out. But first, it's mail day. From across the pond, my order from Laser Gaming has arrived. And I'm pretty excited about that. And I want to show you what I ordered and what I got, talk about how great they are, and we'll start with that. I am in no way affiliated with Laser Gaming, but I've been using their products from way back in the Destiny days, and I enjoy them. So I ordered some tokens. They have a set of tokens for Star Wars Unlimited. Laser Gaming also produces acrylic accessories for Star Wars Destiny, for Lorcana, even some Pokemon. Check them out, lasergamingshop.com. Sarah and Tom are the two founders. I met Sarah back through the Destiny days. Met her in person in Minnesota at Worlds 2019. And Greg and I both used their tokens for when we're playing Star Wars Destiny. They came out with Unlimited. And if you've seen any of the Garbage Rollers or the Golden Dice podcast guys with their gameplay videos, those are the tokens that they're using. Now, the biggest advantage that these particular tokens have over what FFG provides you with in terms of the cardboard ones or the Gamegenic acrylic tokens, which I do sell in my Deployer Leader Gaming store when they're in stock, is that those, for damage tokens, they have a 1, a 5, and a 10, and they're missing a 3. So imagine you have to put 4 out there before you get to 5 and whatnot. And so what Laser Gaming provides is 1, 3, 5, 10, and you can also order them so they're double-sided, meaning 1 flips into 3 and 5 flips into 10. And, seeing them on the gameplay videos are just really nice. They're kind of larger, and they're good. That said, I held on to a pack of the Gamegenic tokens for me because I thought I would buy them from Deployer Leader Gaming. In the end, though, I went ahead and ordered these from Laser Gaming. Probably cost twice as much, but I'm really excited for them because now when I play with my buddy Greg, we can use these. So you have seen, these are just examples of, the normal cardboard tokens. And then I received my order from Laser Gaming. Let's start these one at a time. But this is basically the default set they have. They have shield tokens, they have damage tokens, they have a nice initiative token. They have, when you do your epic action, you can turn that off. And they have, in this default, you get a restore, you get a sentinel, and you get one other one, which I may have gotten another bag already. And you get these reminder tokens. So we'll talk about all of that. And they come with this backing. You have to peel this off the back, but you can see how that looks. So here's an example. Let's say you have Chewbacca, and Chewbacca takes some damage. That's too much damage. But you got these ones, then you go to 2, and then you can flip to 3. And then if you're, you can see over here, you got a 5, you can flip that to 10. They're a nice, good size. You also have some shield tokens. So if you pull in a crafty smuggler, he comes in shielded. You got the nice shield token right there, ready to go. Also, I mentioned how, let's see, there is Sentinel. Chewbacca is a Sentinel. So you have these reminder tokens that maybe talk about that. There's also Restore, and it comes with another one. I think I put it in the wrong bag. But those are also great. Inside, inside the kit, depending on what level you get, they also have these experience tokens, right? So +1, +1, +3, +3. You got your temporary. So if they're like +3 temporary or a temporary, if someone gives it a buff, you can see that now you have temporary. And they have some minuses. And again, you peel off this backside. But those are really great. And then what I ordered an additional set of are some other language tokens. So what I mean by that, you got your raid 1, you got raid 2, you got restore, you got grit, you got restore 2, you got sentinel, you got overwhelm. So these are all great. Depending on what you're playing, you can put them down to remind you and your opponent what it is. You can get these in various different colors. I opted for blue, but you could also get them in like the red that you find in the default set and whatnot. So I think they really look good. I'm really excited to play with them. What a beautiful initiative token that is. Sarah and Tom do a great product. And so I was giddy when they showed up in the mail. I thought, hey, I'm going to lead with this. And I know it's not so good if you're listening to this in the podcast, but if you're watching on YouTube, obviously you got a preview of what those are. You can order them, Laser Gaming Shop, or if you play other games, like I said, Lorcana, it's all there. Just a plug for my friends. I'm not affiliate. I don't get anything, but I think they do a great job there. All right, let's move on to talk about kind of an interesting rumor that I read about in Facebook pages was that sometimes people would open multiple boxes and sometimes they'd get the exact same set of legendaries. So, they might get the same 3 or the same 4, which seems improbable if it's truly random. But Greg and I each have a box we bought from Deployer Leader, the last 2 boxes. And if you listen to my last episode, obviously I'm sad that I did not order more because now, can't find any. But we are playing our way through this box. So there's 24 packs in a box, and we are breaking every 6 packs up into like a best of 3 game. And so right now, I'm going to give you an update on the 3rd matchup we just had. But before I get there, I want to talk about some of the legendary pools of the boxes so far, because nothing seemed out of the ordinary until this last set. So in the first 6 packs, Greg didn't pull any legendaries. I still lost that, by the way, but he didn't pull any legendaries. I pulled a home one. Great. I think maybe even got it on the table. Maybe not. Second 6, I pulled an aggression. Greg pulled a vigilance. So, okay, sound good. And then for this turn, the 3rd round of the box battle, we each cracked 6 more packs. He pulled a Millennium Falcon. It's pretty awesome. I pulled a Millennium Falcon. I then pulled a vigilance, and Greg pulls an aggression. So if you're scoring from home, Greg has pulled a vigilance, a falcon, and an aggression, and I have pulled a vigilance, a falcon, and an aggression, and a home one. So what do you think the odds are that Greg might find a home one in his final 6 packs? I don't know. I'd be pretty disappointed if that's the case. But I'd heard about the batching. I didn't think much of it, but here we are. I don't know. We're 18 packs in, and it certainly seems like these 2 boxes are parallel in terms of the legendaries. Have you encountered anything like this in your own box cracking? Let me know, please. Reach out to me, and I'd love to hear if you've experienced this firsthand. I will certainly give you the update once we crack this last set of packs, which we're doing this weekend. Okay, so quick interruption. I was in the process of editing this episode. A few things at the end I wasn't totally thrilled with, and then things got busy, and all of a sudden, Greg and I took our trip, and we've cracked the rest of the box, and we've played those games. So rather than push this out and hold this for the next episode, I'm interrupting the current flow and just to say that we have cracked the last 6 packs in each of our respective boxes. I pulled 0 legendaries, and Greg pulled 1. Do you want to guess what it was? Home freaking 1. So there you have it. We pulled boxes with identical legendaries, kind of a wet blanket, we pulled individual cards outside of legendaries that were pretty interesting. He in his last set, he pulled 2 rucks in 1 pack, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, so we had the identical legendaries. So I guess there is something to legendary batching. He asked that next time he buys some boxes for me that I simply grab them from different cases, and I think that would be right. And I'll be doing that. So anyone that's ordered from me, I will do my best to, or ordered from Deployer Leader Gaming, I will do my best to shuffle up the boxes so that you may not have this kind of, it's not necessarily a feel bad moment, but it's just kind of like, you're looking to fill out your collection. Yes, you get 2 of each legendary this way, but it still doesn't feel as great as something else. Okay, so there we have it. As you can see, we each got the exact same 4 legendaries. We move on. I want to go ahead and proceed and tell you how the last 2 box battles went. We do sealed sets of 6. Just to recap, in the first 6 packs, Greg beat me using a Chewie deck against my Leia deck. In the second 6, Greg beat me again using Vader against what started as an IG-88 deck but turned into a Vader deck. I lost that matchup 2-1. And now we went into this third set. We each pulled a Falcon, and then he pulled an aggression. I pulled a vigilance. I actually pulled a Chewbacca leader, which I hadn't pulled yet in the box. And perhaps there's a little PTSD from having to played so much Chewbacca from earlier with Greg. And at the draft event, I recapped at episode 1. I thought I will play Chewbacca. Now, in hindsight, I feel like I may have already been tilting without ever starting the game. I was just like, oh, I want to win so bad. And Chewbacca, I know, it's been a bit of a problem. At least for me, it was, to play against. And so I built a green Chewbacca deck, and it ran into a blue Vader deck of Greg's. Yes, Greg is not very original. Chewbacca, and then Chewbacca, Vader, right? So fine. Yeah, I only had like 4 ships that were in my deck, for space units, and so I put the out of aspect Millennium Falcon in there, so it cost me like 5. I did get it on the table in that first game, but it was towards the end, and the outcome was already in hand. Essentially, game 1, Vader ran over me. Vader came out, and I couldn't really deal with him. I tried to race around him. I didn't deal any damage to Vader because I just thought I could try another way, but that was kind of dumb. And all I remember is just getting crushed. It wasn't close. That's fine. I took out some of the high priced units I had, including that out of aspect Millennium Falcon, because I did notice in that first game, oftentimes I would draw 2 cards and I'd be sitting there where even though I had 6 or 7 resources, I could only play like 1 card because they were all like a 5, a 6, and a 5. And that was kind of a feel bad thing. So I stripped out a couple of my more expensive units. I put in some cheaper units, and game 2 went much better. I had some synergy finally between like some rebel units and some trooper units, and there was some sentinel, and there was just a lot of nice things going on. I was able to handle Vader. And late in the game, I played Vigilance. You can choose 2 options. I believe I defeated a unit with 5 or less hit points remaining, and I healed damage from my base. However, in hindsight, what I should have done is maybe force Greg to discard 6 cards, because in a sealed game, you have 30 card decks. You're basically saying get rid of 20% of your entire deck. I didn't do it that game, and it led to a very interesting scenario in which both of us were nearing 0 cards. Greg actually arrived at an empty deck first. He was pretty low on health. I was also, I should say, health remaining on our bases. He was high in damage. I was also pretty high in damage, but I was a little bit under him, and I had 2 cards left in my deck. And then we weren't sure exactly what happened when your deck was empty. I knew there was some damage being dealt, but we had to look it up. And sure enough, he had to draw 2 cards at the regrouping phase. He had 0 cards in his deck. And so it's 3 damage per card to your base. And that 6 damage was enough to defeat Greg. I didn't take any damage that turn. Thankfully, I had some cards in my deck. I think I had 2 cards left. And so that was it. That was very, very exciting. Okay, so we go on to game 3, and I can tell you that I think I landed 4 damage to his base the entire time. So obviously it didn't go my way. It was an interesting game, even though it wasn't a successful game, because it was just another slog, and he was taking units off my side of the board as quickly as he could, and Vader was a problem again, and my lack of space units really put me behind because I only had 4 in my deck. He had more than a few space units that seemed to show up pretty regularly, and they had pretty clear paths to the base. I will say I was able to cast Vigilance again, so for 6. And this time I certainly chose to mill him. And I got him down to where he actually drew his last 2 cards. He had no cards remaining in his deck. Now, again, I only had 4 damage on his base, and he had about probably like 23, 24 on that turn. I blocked as much as I could. He slammed in for as much as he could. And then I took initiative. Now I knew that my deck wasn't that full. Maybe I had 3 cards. So maybe I had like 2 extra rounds where he would take damage and I would not, assuming I could survive. So I really didn't think I was going to win the game at this point. But I thought it'd be interesting to at least him take damage and see how far I can push it before ultimately succumbing to having to draw myself. He had other plans. Those last 2 cards were really convenient for him to draw. And again, one of the best things about sealed is that you see cards that normally wouldn't be in a premier deck. And so in this case, he had a wilderness fighter who was exhausted, and he brought him back to readiness using keep fighting. So again, ready a unit that is 3 power or less. And then on top of that, Greg played precision fire, which gives saboteur to a unit. And then if that unit is a trooper, it gives +2. And so I think I was at 27 damage. So the trooper's inherent 2 damage plus 2 more gave Greg the W before having to take damage from having an empty deck. So, well played, Greg. Nice job being able to throw down, keep fighting, and precision fire. That was the 3rd of the best of 3 sealed decks. At that point, I was 0-3. Greg had officially won the box battle. We only have 5 matches per box battle. one for each of the four uh, quarters of the box, and then we will come together for one premier deck using only cards from the box. So we then went traveling together and we did some hiking and we played some Magic. And then we took our last 6 packs and that's when we cracked them open. That's when Greg cracked his home one to see that we had identical legendary boxes. And he cracked 2 Rooks as well. And I cracked a couple of Boba Fett leaders. So I hadn't cracked any of the Bobas in the beginning. And I was just giddy with that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like Boba. I had success with him at the draft, obviously. Greg ran Vader Green, so third straight battle to run Vader, which is convenient, but on the premier box battle, can't use Vader or Luke, so you have to use one of the cards you drew. And by the way, he did crack 2 rare leaders. So he cracked a Cassian and he cracked a Hera. I cracked my first Palpatine, so I was excited for that. But I went with Boba. I went Boba Red. Greg went Vader Green, including his 2 Rooks. He also had a full playset of Steadfast Battalion. I think he opted to only run 2 of them. And I actually had 9 space units. So the third round, I only had like 4 that I could use with the deck I played, but I had 9 in the deck that I played. So it was like very much space heavy. And I also drew a unit Palpatine, so I had that in there. I had a Ruthless Raider, which was good. I had a few tricks, not that many, but I had some Strike First and I think a Waylay. I think I may have pulled the Waylay out. And we were off. So unlike round 3, which Chewbacca Vader was such a slog of Sentinel, and we got through basically, Greg was decked 2 different games. These games were very, very fast. Maybe it's because of Boba. Maybe it's just because of some of the green cards that Greg had, but these were very quick games. First game, so I actually flooded the board with space units, conveniently enough, but that left the ground arena pretty open. And Greg started out with a Cantina Braggart and soon enough threw down a Fallen Lightsaber on him. So there were like 2 turns where I just got hit in the face for 5 because I didn't have any ground units to deal with that. It was a very close game. We both had mid to high 20s on our bases. I had a whole, again, I had a lot of space, but Vader being out and on attack, his on-attack ability killed off one of my necessary space units because I started the round with lethal damage showing to Greg, but he was able to hold that off. I think in the end, I had a play, basically right before conceding, I had a play where I could strike him. My last remaining unit got him to 29, but that was it. I had nothing else to do, and he had the damage to get me to 30. So it was really, really close. I had 28 damage on my base. He had 27. I could strike for 29, but the game was over. So once again, losing to Vader. Fun game, back and forth, really fast. It was really, really good. I think we both made some changes to our decks for that second game. We each had a Fallen Lightsaber, so I think we also immediately brought in a copy of Confiscate just to kind of deal with that. Obviously, I struggled with it in the first game. So here in the second game, hardly any of my space units came out first. I had a very successful ground advantage, and I pressed very, very quickly. I would use Surprise Strike, and Boba came out on time, did his damage. I was able to fend off whatever Greg threw out. Thankfully, he didn't find a Ruck this time, and last time he did, and that was annoying. So imagine Ruck and Vader being out. That was not fun. But I won the game. I won the second game. It was super quick. Vader didn't even come out. So I had won before Vader got a chance to deploy. And that felt great. It felt really amazing. And I thought that this could be it. After losing the first 3 rounds, maybe this game 3 is going to be the one. Just like the last matchup. Just like the matchup before that. Game 3, could this be it? It was a super, super fun game 3. I swarmed out. I had space units, I had ground units, and I have to tell you, I was feeling pretty good when I had 29 damage on his base and he only had 11 on mine. I was feeling pretty good. But then things took a turn for Greg, and it was wild to watch. He had 7th Sister out on the board, and so she would attack base and then blow out whatever ground unit I had, because dealing 3 damage to it. He got Vader out, and on top of Vader, he put a Fallen Lightsaber. So when Vader swung into the base, he did 2 damage to a unit. Sure, it's one of those over in space, no problem. And then if I had anything on the ground that Seventh Sister couldn't deal with or partially dealt with, that one damage to the ground units from the fallen lightsaber just wiped my board clean. So I had Greg at 29 health. I had, I felt like I had my hand around his neck. I thought this was it because he only had 11 damage. Surely he couldn't come back from that. Turns out Vader, a fallen lightsaber, and Seventh Sister on the ground could come back from that. Greg stabilized, just blew out my entire board. I would put a new unit down. If it was a ground unit, Seventh Sister would attack my base and blow out the ground unit. If it was a space unit, it wasn't strong enough to avoid the Vader trigger, and it wasn't good. He actually got another space unit of his own out, the green one that has Restore 2, so he actually pushed away from the edge. I think he finished with 27 health, or 27 damage on his base. But yeah, that was a heartbreaker, to be this close to getting a best of 3 victory, like literally 1 damage away, and Big Man Vader and Seventh Sister took it from me. What are you gonna do? Man, that was intense. After that game, I brought out the starter sets, which I'd sleeved up just to take with us for traveling, and he played Luke, beat me the first game, but then with Vader, I won the last 2. So that felt good. At least I won those games, but in terms of the sealed, no. 0-4, friends. 0-4. And now the only thing left to do to avoid going 0-5 is I need to win the premier box battle. So a 50-card deck, 10-card sideboard. Can I do it? I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to run. I'm obviously not going to talk about it here because Greg may listen. Maybe he won't. But we'll see. I hope it'll go better. But wow, being up 29-11 and losing. It was fun to watch. I won't lie. It was impressive. But, in the moment, it wasn't great. So I'll let you know how the box battle goes. I don't know when we'll do that. We both have some traveling ahead of us, so it may actually be a while. But it was fun. It's also store showdown season. I was not able to go to a store showdown based on just my schedule and other things going on with the family. And Greg hasn't done that either. And honestly, I don't know if we had enough cards to build even a competitive deck for that type of event. But I do hope if you were able to go to one or more, you had a good time, you had a fun time. Who knows if it's successful or not? But it is a fun game. Even when you lose, when being up 29-11, it's still a very fun game. And so my goal for Shadows of the Galaxy is to go to at least one, if not multiple events, maybe a pre-release, and hopefully, definitely one store showdown. I'll just have to get it blocked in my calendar and protect it from that. I'd like to leave on one quick note about Deploy Your Leader Gaming. Last month, I sent out an email to all my email subscribers saying that, hey, I now have booster boxes of Shadows of the Galaxy available for pre-order. It was a discounted price. I set aside a small number because, to be honest, I don't exactly know my allocation from Asthma Day yet. I should know that by the end of May. So I'm really hopeful I'll see what it is. I requested basically double the amount that I requested for set 1. And I did not put myself in a position that I thought I was being irresponsible putting pre-orders out there, right? I really only put out about 4 cases worth of boxes to pre-order. And thank you to everyone that did. It took 26 minutes for those to sell out. And that was awesome for me because, my inventory has dwindled. And so it was nice to generate some revenue based on that. If you want to get in on those kinds of offerings, please join my newsletter for Deploy Your Leader Gaming. If you go to any page on the website, deployyourleader.com, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see on a blue strip to join the email rebellion. Do that, opt in, and then as I have new deals like that, you'll be in the know. I know I'm also kind of cooking up something for my VIP customers, those that have purchased from me more than once. I'll have a unique offering to send out to them a little bit later this summer as well. As the owner of Deploy Your Leader Gaming, the reception to the store and the support has been amazing. I look forward to building this business over the coming months and years and seeing where it goes. And I love being able to put out content. So every week we have a new piece of content, whether it be a podcast or an article from our content creator partners. But I do hope you check it out. If you haven't checked out deployyourleader.com yet, please do that. And if you're here just for me, just for Jank It Up Fuzzball, that's awesome too. As we close out, I hope as we enter into the summer months, it is super hot down here in Houston, I must say right now. But I hope you're able to play a lot of Unlimited. And as I always tend to say, play some jank, deploy your leader, have some fun. We'll talk soon. And if you have any ideas how I can beat Greg, please send them.